Hi, and welcome to our interview with Alma. This interview, we're going to be discussing, most importantly, the transition from pediatric to adult care, and Alma's kindly going to share her journey with us. Alma, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm 22. I live in Reading. I've just finished 4 years at university studying marketing, which I really enjoyed. And then I've got a graduate job starting in London in September. And I have three other siblings, so there's four of us. And two of us have the trait. I have sickle cell, and then my other sister doesn't have the trait or anything. So, yeah.
Wow. So you come from a big family.
Yeah.
And your siblings are awesome. So you're very, very lucky. They're really supportive, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah, amazing. So how did having sickle cell impact your childhood, Alma?
I think it made me quite anxious as like a child.
Mm.
Like my sister is 1 year younger than me, so we were always together for like most of our childhood when we were growing up until like a certain age where there were things she could do but I couldn't do just because my mum just didn't want me to feel sick or get cold and things like that. So it did it wasn't like a bad childhood, but I just couldn't do like everything that other children could do. Like swimming lessons, I didn't enjoy that because I would often like get cold and be in pain. PE, like in the winter when you had to be outside, like I didn't enjoy that. And then sometimes there were issues with school, and I would miss a lot of school as well. So yeah, I feel like I did miss out like on some things, and from that it made me quite anxious as a person, so I am like quite reserved.
Oh, thank you. Did you manage to participate in PE? Did you have kind of like, did you just wait to see like how you were feeling, what the weather was like, or did you just try to attend and do PE regardless?
I think in primary school I always did PE because it wasn't as like strenuous, but
Yeah.
um, when you got to secondary school and you had to do things like the bleep test, which is where you like run back and forth, like
Mm.
my stamina, I couldn't like do it as long as other people could do it. And I would explain to the teacher, I would participate as much as I could, but obviously there would be a point where my body just like couldn't keep on going.
Yeah.
Um, and in the winter was obviously like the hardest months. And if we had to be outside playing sports, and if I was already feeling like kind of sick, or if I could already feel like slight pain, just general like
Mm.
back pain, back aches, um, I would ask to not participate. Yeah.
Yeah. I think knowing those triggers is really important. As you get older, you kind of learn, don't you? Like what things are going to trigger a crisis or make you feel fatigued, or knowing your limits as well. We've spoken from a lot of the interviews we've been doing for this. A lot of people have said it does get easier as you get older because you know your triggers, you know your limits and things like that. um it's very sad that still now a lot of teachers, particularly in PE, are still not giving a lot of empathy to students with sickle cell. So it's definitely something we really, really want to work on, because your experience at school is so important, especially when you said, like your sister, your peers. If people are doing stuff, you want to try and participate as much as possible. So when you have that extra support, it just makes life easier, makes you feel more included.
Yeah.
So it's really important. So one of the things that comes up a lot with families that we talk to is the transition from pediatric care to adult care. And I know that you and I have spoken about this before, because obviously Sienna's 13 now, and she's about to start this journey with going through this ourselves. But firstly, how did you find the transition from pediatric to adult care?
Um, I feel like it kind of just like sprung up on me. Like I'm still a child, but then they were like, no, you have to go to the adult ward. Um, I really enjoyed my time in pediatric. I found that the nurses and the doctors were very helpful. Like, they were very attentive, they listened, and they were like quite well trained in sickle cell. Um, with the adult care, it's a bit different because where I live in Reading, I just see like a general hematologist. So she's not a sickle cell specialist. And I have found that difficult because the doctors that I used to see when I was in the children's care were sickle cell specialists. So I do find sometimes there's things that she doesn't really like know or understand because it's not her speciality.
Yeah.
The transition was good, I would say. But being an adult, it's like a lot of your care is kind of in your hands now. Yeah, so I'd say there definitely needs to be more support in Reading, but I've seen like people that live in Oxford and like around the Oxford area have like a lot of help, a lot of support. They have like a lot of specialists, so maybe it's just depending on your area.
I think recently as well, Oxford, because I don't know if you had Leslie as your nurse. I don't, because she only started 3 years ago, so she wouldn't have been in pediatrics. But Leslie's very committed in having these resources for people transitioning, so they start doing like a couple of like workshops with her, and they get shown around the ward and stuff like that. So there seems to be a lot more support.
Yeah, I didn't have that.
Yeah, there's a lot more support. But yeah, so what kind of things really stuck out for you in the transition? Was it having to advocate for yourself? Was it not having your parents there with you when you were on the ward? What things were like stuck out the most?
I don't know if it's because like obviously when you're a child, people are more like caring and attentive for you, but the adult ward, it is generally like older people. So I would be like 17 and be like in the outpatients, but there wouldn't really be people my age, even though technically I'm an adult. I still never really felt like my care was right because
you were like a minority for your age in that scenario.
Yeah, minority for my age, like my medical, and just so many factors that they didn't actually really understand. Like, sorry, I need to think about that.
That's okay. Take your time. Honestly, take your time.
The differences.
I know a lot of people say it's like it is quite intimidating, because even for me personally, I remember having my tonsils removed when I was either 16 or 17, and that same thing. I went to see a consultant, and then they said to me, okay, you're going to be on the adult ward. And I looked at my mum and I just thought, excuse me, what do you mean? As much as I love to think I was an adult,
you're an adult,
at that time I was like, I don't want to be an adult anymore. Like, I want my mum to stay with me. And I just remember like I'd just come out of like the recovery, and I just remember literally the 4 people on that part of the ward I was on were all over the age of 80.
Yeah.
And I was so intimidated, and I was so scared, because I was just thinking there's just too many strangers, because the familiarity of you know, on the children's ward,
you know the
where
nurses.
everything is, you know, the doctors, you know, the nurses, you can wander up to the linen cupboard, get your own bits, you know your way around from the hospital as well. So I mean, certainly, like, we hear that a lot, it is quite intimidating being in a new setting, particularly when you're most vulnerable. You know, you're a teenager, you're in a new scenario, nobody knows you, you're very, very vulnerable, plus you're not feeling well as well. So yeah, I think that's one thing that has been mentioned a lot to us.
And I think like because you are like deemed as an adult, there's a sense of like responsibility that they expect from you to like kind of know your illness and your triggers, and I mean, there was one time when I was at university, so I wasn't with my mum, my dad, or any of my siblings, and I was really like sick, and I had to call the ambulance, go to the hospital, and things like that. And I found like it was really, really scary because I didn't know anyone there. I didn't know the hospital because that was the first time I'd been there in Bournemouth. This wasn't my local hospital.
Yeah.
And the nurses and doctors didn't really like know what they were doing. So I found that I had to take like my care into my own hands and make a lot of decisions by myself, which was scary because I'm not like a medical professional. And that was the first time that I had to do it, and I was in a completely different part of the country from my family. So I feel like it's things like that. There's a lot more responsibility because when you're a child, the doctors are there, your parents are there. Your parents are there to kind of like oversee decisions, but when you're an adult, there's a lot of decisions.
It's all down to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with your experience, what advice would you give other people, or what advice would you give your younger self to prepare them for that transition? So say around 14, 15 years old, what would you have wanted to know then that you know now?
Definitely ask more questions. So ask like about who your doctor's going to be, your nurse, ask what they specialize in, make sure you have like a contact number for them, like go and check out the department. So if you're in hematology, check out the adult hematology department, understand what your doctor specializes in. So if they don't necessarily specialize in sickle cells, you're kind of prepared and you know what to expect, and you might also need to like guide them on your own conditions. Because obviously when you've had a nurse or a doctor with you for 10 years or more than 10 years, there's such a close relationship, and they know you like the back of their hands. They know your medical history, things like that. You don't even really need to like explain,
go over things with them.
So I'd say definitely like building a relationship with your doctor and your nurse, like the people that are going to be part of your team. Asking a lot of questions, and maybe like reaching out to older people that have also been through the transition. Just to be able to ask questions, I think. And also like not being afraid to ask questions, or not being afraid to speak up when you feel like something isn't right, because you do know your body like the best. You've lived with your body the longest.
I agree. 100%.
So
you know, when you're saying your body's like, when you're saying, oh, your pain is 10 out of 10, and somebody says, well, it doesn't look like a 10 out of 10, that is the most insulting comment you can get from a professional. And like you said, nobody knows your body better than yourself. So just advocating and making sure that you stand your ground is so important. Did you feel comfortable to do that with doctors, or did it take you some time?
It took me some time. I feel like I'm still not that comfortable, but I am getting like better. At first, like if it was just me at the appointment and I didn't have my mum there, I wouldn't like say anything. I'd be too scared. Because usually if it's me and my mum, I'd be like, oh mum, can you say this? Or like, mum, like, you know, I'd be going through her, but it's like you are kind of on your own now.
Now you have to do it.
Yeah, you have to do it by yourself, and you have to speak up because it is your care at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's really important. Thank you for sharing that. So you're 22 now. Have you, along your journey of living with sickle cell, are there things that you've like learned that help you manage your symptoms, prevent symptoms? Have you found that you've got into a good routine now? And obviously we were just speaking about, you know, your body the best. Would you like to share any of the things that you do day to day to help prevent symptoms or manage them when they occur?
So I try to eat like quite a balanced diet. I think that's quite like a big one. Drink a lot of water, like always staying hydrated. And I think one thing that I only discovered recently is that people with sickle cell have a high metabolism, so we tend to like kind of burn off
more calories.
yeah, so like making sure you're always like well fed, like eating good quality food. um I'm not vegan or vegetarian or anything, but just like trying to eat good quality food. I don't really eat like dairy or like sugar or like sweets and things like that.
Mhm.
um just because I find like it makes me very like lethargic, and it makes me, yeah, just feel like fatigued and tired and things like that. um yeah, I think diet is a good one, because I think people with sickle cell as well like tend to feel very lightheaded, which is something that I feel like a lot, tired. um
Mm.
so just making sure you're like always well fed. I don't know.
So
um
actually, you're right by saying this. So people with sickle cell should eat a high calorie diet because they use more energy to rebuild the cells that have died quickly. So yeah, it's very
yeah,
important. Thank you.
I'm always so hungry, and my siblings are like, why are you so hungry? And now I eat like 4 meals a day because my body just like constantly needs like the food. um that helps like prevent pain. Also just things like stretching. I like to take like baths, like essential oils, just kind of like small self-care things throughout the day, just to like manage my pain.
Yeah, that's so important. It's like trying to stay relaxed because I know that one of Sienna's triggers is anxiety and stress. So when she has exams and stuff on, I can guarantee that she'll have some sort of pain because she gets herself so worked up.
Yeah,
So we really try now to incorporate like techniques that she can use, whether it's meditation or mindfulness, or like you said, just having some 5-10 minutes of self-care 4 or 5 times a day can be so rewarding.
yeah,
I
definitely.
love it. It's so important. We need to take care of ourselves. Is there anything else that you do?
um I try to like exercise. I don't do anything like too strenuous, just because again, like I'd rather not be in pain. So anything that I can do to like avoid being in pain, I'll do that to avoid being in pain. But yeah, just gentle like exercising, stretching, like cardio. So just like trying to keep like fit and healthy. Um,
Moving but not going overboard.
yeah, yeah. I think that those are the things that have helped me like manage my pain recently, because I have been quite well for like the most part, and like
Mhm.
staying warm obviously, but then when it's hot weather, making sure you're cool in the shade,
Mhm.
enough water.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. And you've done so well. I mean, 4 years at uni. Wow. It's
Yeah.
incredible. You
It
should
was
be
hard.
so proud of yourself because that is a huge achievement. And like you said, there are some times when you really don't feel well. So to accomplish that is incredible. And you should be really proud of yourself because we're very proud of you, and I would just wish you all the best for I know you're going to do incredible in your new job role. So well done.
Okay.
One last question, which we are asking all of our guest speakers. If you had a bucket list, what would be right at the top and the first thing you would want to do and why?
I think maybe like diving in like the Indian Ocean or something, which is
Mm,
like really crazy, but that's because, to be honest, I can't swim. So yeah, and I've never been someone that likes being in the water just because it's too
mm,
cold. And diving
yeah,
seems like such an extreme sport. And I mean, I'll probably never do it in my life, but if I could, that's something I would
yeah.
do.
I think, yeah, if you went sort of snorkeling or something, because obviously diving is not great for people with sickle cell. But yeah, if
Exactly.
you were to do like snorkeling, oh my gosh, I'm scared of deep water. So
Oh
I would
yeah.
definitely love to do something like that. Whether I had the guts to actually do it, I don't know. I love the idea. So I love water. That's when I feel most relaxed. So like you were saying, like hot baths and things like that. I love being in water. I just feel really calm. Um, but yeah, I can imagine like one little fish swims past me and I'm like, ah! But definitely one day you will definitely make it happen. So
we'll see.
Yeah, one day when everyone is able to travel and have fun again and just live life to the full. But Alma, that brings us to the end of our interview, and I just want to say congratulations again on finishing uni. You are incredible, you're inspiring, and I'm so glad that people like Sienna have somebody like you who is such a great role model, and you just give them hope. And like I said, you inspire them to not allow sickle cell to define their future, to, you know, get on with it and achieve what they set out to. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Hayley. Take care.
You're welcome.